In 1994, Dean Cycon had a hypothesis that a business could be both for-profit and create meaningful change for indigenous communities in Asia, Africa, and the Americas. He launched Dean's Beans Organic Coffees to test his theory, and we spoke about the local company's now award-winning approach in the studio.
Okay, first off, I don't consider us a fair trade company. Fair trade is a tool in our toolbox of social justice and environmental justice. Because at this point in the evolution of coffee, anybody can buy fair trade coffee from a broker without having any relationship to the farmers, without taking a dent out of the unfair world of coffee. And so for us, fair trade is a very, very important tool. We're 100% fair trade, but to us it's just a tool. Why we use it is because it's the only system that actually sets a minimum price that the farmers can live with during the bad times, such as now. It costs a farmer somewhere between $1 and $2, depending on where they are in the world, to grow and process their coffee. But right now, the world coffee price that they get back is $1 or less, which means every cup you drink, every pound you buy of commercial coffee drives a farm family further into poverty, which means many lose their land and come up against our southern border, and that's one of the causes of mass migration coming out, especially Guatemala.
So how does the average consumer distinguish that very nuanced difference that you just pointed out?
Well, it's great to start with the fair trade label and the organic label. There you know that the environment is being taken care of from a legal point of view, not just commercial marketing, and also that the farmers are getting this minimum price at this very desperate time, which allows them to hold on to their lands and feed their families. So that's a good place to start. But for consumers who want to go a little deeper, and it's hard these days, and I appreciate that, you have to study the companies that you want to support. And these days, with climate change and environmental refugees and social displacement all over the world, I think it's really important for people to dig deeper into their buying patterns.
So for you, you started this 25, 26 years ago with a premise that the Greenfield Recorder pointed out, and I want to read it. Okay. A hypothesis rather, that a business could be both for profit and create, quote, meaningful change for the indigenous communities in Asia, Africa, and the America. Right. As the recorder points out, that's a hypothesis. So how did you test that hypothesis?
That's a great question. It was a hypothesis because when I started, there was no such thing as a social entrepreneur. There really was no such thing as a company 100% organic, and there was no fair trade. So when we started, it was based on my background as an indigenous rights and environmental lawyer in the 70s and 80s, and then starting nonprofit organizations to do development work, the first to do development work in coffee. So it really was a hypothesis. And I knew that it was an experiment, and if it didn't work, I guess I'd go back to being a lawyer and teaching part-time at UMass, you know? But 25 years later, 26 years later, we can point to what we've done and show from a metrics point of view, for those who care about those things, we can show increase in income with the farmers we work with, increase in health, increase in women's loans and women's businesses, decrease in deaths from cervical cancer in Ethiopia, where we have a magnificent program. You know, we can actually show on the ground how our business model and how others doing similar things have a real meaningful impact on the ground, and that proves the hypothesis.
I think there's been some criticism of people who, maybe not like you, but people who are working in developing countries or indigenous countries with indigenous populations going in to do good work.
You're not kidding. I'm one of the people who complains about it all the time.
So again, for the consumer who's looking at this, how do you ferret out fact from fiction there?
Well, again, you know, it's educational. If you're going to get involved in trying to understand the issues of development, that's a whole world in and of itself. Development, as we know, international development now is based on these large organizations from the north going in with their programs, their priorities, and their tons of money, and basically telling communities what they want to accomplish. That doesn't work. It's been proven not to work. And so there's been a slow shift, and we're part of the pioneers of that shift, in actually asking the people, you know, what are the major inhibitions to development here, and then working together to try to find a solution to individual problems, design programs, And then in our case, the unique thing that we do is we train the farmers to run the programs. So it's not CARE, Save the Children, some big NGO with their own staff sitting on top of and creating a hierarchy on top of already downtrodden people. It's a way to bring self-esteem and empowerment to those communities.
So what's one example that you can point to of an issue or a challenge that you learned from a population and then were able to work with them on?
Right from the very beginning, we were asked by we had meetings with different women's groups in the area we were working with in Guatemala, and most of the women said, we have no health care here. The nearest doctor's 15 miles away and we don't have cars. So what can we do about it? So we got together with a doctor group that was going to provide basically primary health care training to the women so that they could analyze their own maternal issues, set a broken limb, know how to deal with medicine. It was really staggering, wonderful program. But what was unique about it is it didn't rely on us because we combined it with a women's loan fund so that every woman who got healthcare training also received a loan to start or increase her family's business. With the interest that they pay back on the loan, instead of it going to some northern organization, as these loan funds do, the fund collected the interest and used it to pay the administrative cost of the healthcare program. So after 4 years, it was self-funding. It was the world's first self-funding women's healthcare program. And we got an award from the United Nations, from UN Women. The first award they ever gave was for our community program in Guatemala from that.
You mentioned the word award. That's one of the reasons we're having this conversation. You recently won another award, Dean's Beans Organic Coffee did, Best for the World Award, and it's a recognition of your company's positive impact on communities and coffee farmers around the world. When you win an award like this or the numerous others that you've won, what does that mean for you as a company?
It means that the work we do in the world is getting recognized somewhere. I don't spend a lot of money marketing, so I can walk down the street of Leverett or Amherst, where I'm from, and nobody knows who I am. I can go into a cafe and ask, do you have Dean's Beans coffee? And they'll say, never heard of it. Right in my own community. But if you go to any of these coffee countries we work in, we're known and we're respected. Or if you go to Oslo or Mumbai or any place else we've gotten major international awards, they know who we are. But the more important thing to me is that the program works, it works well, and that is getting recognized in the business community around the world and as well as by the farmers. Because for the business community to recognize it means other people go, wow, this can work. Maybe we can stop being just about profit and bring community concerns, environmental concerns into what we do and still be profitable. Yes, 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 we've proven that. From the farmer's point of view, they're thrilled about it because they're part of it. Like I said, we don't create hierarchies over the farmers. We create programs together and they run them. So our success, as I always point out when we get these awards, it's their success. And that's exciting for people who really don't have much in their life and live on coffee, which doesn't bring them much money.